Everybody's got the blocks, and if they tell you they don't, they're lying. So even if you have those business plans, don't be afraid to throw them out and write a new plan. Because we're in a rapidly shifting marketplace right now.
Sometimes I feel like there's this pressure to only do one thing and have one zone of genius. And I remember when I started kind of checking out your Facebook profile, I was like, I can't quite tell what she does, because I see one post that was like, well, do you want to just share kind of the different things you're working on right now?
Right. Okay. So I will just say, like, I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since, I think my first company I started at 19. I did window paintings, and I did sign art. So that kind of started my path. But both of my parents were entrepreneurs. I had a baby sling company, and I sold that years ago. And so my current companies it's called Boingo Baby, and we manufacture cloth diapers and cloth diaper accessories. And that company kind of got me into consulting and coaching, because I had people come to me and they're like, oh my God, I love what you're doing. Will you teach me how to do it? And I was like, okay. And I discovered that I really, really loved it. So I started doing business consulting, and really helping people turn around their businesses. And in that process, I went through a crazy spiritual awakening, where I got pneumonia and blood poisoning, almost died. It's kind of a long story, but bear with me.
I love stories, so please tell me.
Cool, because I'm a storyteller. So about 4 years ago, I had a business bestie. We had started a nonprofit called the Cloth Alliance that was basically to promote reusable cloth products, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And we got tickets to go see Gary V, who he's an amazing person in person. VIP tickets were in person. The day before, I get sick, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't go. My intuition's like, don't go. And I'm like, intuition, you're drunk. I'm on antibiotics. I'm going. And so I pushed the hustle, and I went and met Gary V. To this day, I'm pretty sure I got him sick. Sorry, Gary.
Was he sick the next week?
It seemed like he was MIA, and it was a pretty bad. I had streptococcal pneumonia, so it was nothing little. It was pretty harsh. So yeah, sorry about that, Gary. But yeah, towards the end of the event, I started feeling worse. And I told my business bestie, I was like, something's not right. I'm just going to go to the hospital and get checked out. And so I get to the hospital. Within 20 minutes, I have 4 IVs in my arm. And they're like, oh my God, you're dying. If you wouldn't have come in tonight, you probably would have been dead by the morning. And I'm sitting here going, oh gosh, I couldn't get a hold of anybody. I'm in Las Vegas, couldn't get a hold of my husband, coughing so hard I was peeing my pants, which as a mom, you probably.
I laugh because just the other day I was jumping on a trampoline and I peed, and I was like, dang it.
Right?
Just straight up. I get that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, but at that moment, where I should have been in a complete panic, I actually had this warm, peaceful feeling come over me. It told me I was going to be okay. And I was like, okay. So I was in the hospital for 4 days. Pardon me, I'm losing my voice. And my husband had to come pick me up. And I was actually pretty sick after that. Luckily, my cloth diaper company, I had a distributor. I had built that company to function without me. Otherwise, it would have gone, but that's one of the biggest things when you're building companies is if you can build your company to function when you're not there, then you've built a good company. So I was really glad for that. I still have that same distributor. She's amazing. So she ran my company while I recovered, and then started into allowing spiritual gifts to come through. So now brought in this woo-woo side of me that I was not in tune with. And if you would have told me 4 years ago that I would be doing the woo-woo stuff, I'd been like, you're crazy. And the people that believe that stuff are crazy too, right? I was very business alpha, no way. So I was brought on as an intuitive business strategist. I've helped actually a life coaching company build their coaching program that they still use today, which is really cool. Wow. And have worked with people because I realized that there are blocks and things that prevent people from getting to the next level. And when you're up leveling in business,
Yes.
you will plateau if you're not changing and growing to match your growth. So I do that. I am writing a book called The Secret Messages of Birthmarks, which was a divinely downloaded book about the meaning of birthmarks, which is really fun. I am as of now, I'm the CEO of a publishing company, but I'm actually stepping aside my role because that was taking up too much of my time to focus on my business venture Spirit Fluent, which is going to be a spirit-based entrepreneur social media platform for spiritual people. Because actually back in May, I had my Mother's Day post fact-checked by Facebook. And I was like, so I can't wish people happy Mother's Day without being fact-checked? What the crap? And so that kind of brought me into developing Spirit Fluent. So I have all of these businesses, along with I support my husband's business, which is called Uvu Stones. And that's a crystal company where he sells little stacking crystals for meditation stuff. So
amazing. And one thing you didn't mention is you also have 7 kids.
I do.
So I'm like listening to you talk and I'm like, oh my gosh. People say this to me, but I'm like, no, you guys should be saying this to Stacee. How do you get all of this done? This is incredible.
Well, first of all, I have an amazing husband who's very supportive. Like he's like, just run with your ideas because he knows that like I have these ideas that need to come out to the world, right? So he's super supportive. Like this morning, he's like, oh, you need to sleep in. I'm going to take the kids to school, make breakfast. I'm like, I love you, baby. We've been married 20 years. So he's super awesome. A lot of organized chaos, right? Making sure that you have people to support like house cleaners because the way that I look at this is like, okay, either I can do the cool things I'm going to do, or I can spend 3 hours cleaning my house. And I'm not willing to give up 3 hours to house clean. So I hired out. But also really having 7 kids is what necessitated me starting my businesses. Because if you can imagine childcare for 7 kids would have been astronomical.
That doesn't even seem possible. I'm just going to put that there.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like $1,200 a month times 7, right? I mean, it wouldn't have made sense for me to work outside the home. And so my cloth diaper company and my other companies were actually started because I wanted to contribute to the family income. And so I was like, well, I know how to sew. My grandma taught me how to sew. And I just created products and started selling them. This is even before the days of Etsy, right? So this is like back when the internet was pretty old school. But it was kind of out of necessity.
This is so powerful. I know that there are going to be people who are watching, listening, incredibly inspired to know that they don't necessarily have to niche down. Was there pressure at any point where people said you need to only focus on one business? And if so, how did you get past that?
So with my cloth diaper company, Boingo, we were preparing to pitch to investors. And I had a business coach for me. And he was like, you need to stop going all over with these ideas. And I'm like, but I have these ideas and they need to be vetted and I need to work on them. So I did get a lot of pressure from him. And for a while, I did really just narrow in my focus. And I think sometimes it's important to narrow in your focus because we were getting ready to pitch for $1 million investment, which we actually did get an $800,000 investment offer from you can call them, they're like sharks, but they're angel investors. So sometimes you need to, and when I was in that phase of where I needed to focus, I had a journal, and if I had an idea, I would write it down. And I didn't tell my business coach this, but I would actually take a few hours anytime I got a new idea, and I would just vet the market. I had this really quick process where I'd go through, I'm like, is there a market? Is this viable? Is this something that I need to focus on? Or is this a distraction? And if it was a distraction, I'm like, okay, I'll set this aside for later. because sometimes focus is needed. But like I mentioned before, with the cloth diaper company, now I have a distributor who runs it. Literally, I think the extent of my work is now new product development. And she calls me and she's like, hey, I need an order. And so I call my manufacturer in Taiwan. I'm like, hey, we need to order. And that's pretty much all I do with that company now. So that was, once it was set up, I was like, okay, now I can open up and try my other ideas. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. One of the things you just said kind of made me think a little bit, because this has been my year of like really growing as a person and realizing that me growing as a business owner isn't enough. And I'm starting to see a lot of my friends going through the same trajectory of you have to grow personally. And yet there are so many people who say, I don't want a bigger business. I don't want to make more money. And sometimes that's the truth, but I feel like there's another meaning behind that. What have you noticed that to mean?
I honestly think a lot of it is control, because they feel like they're going to lose control of what they have, what they've created. Some of it is burnout. It can be a different reason for each person, but I think it really comes down to the core of, like I said, that let me backtrack and tell a story. So my dad tells me, so my dad's a doctor. He went to Thunderbird Business School, degree in engineering and medical degree. He's really smart guy, right? So he went to school with this guy that was uber wealthy. And he said, I have this friend that if you took everything away from him, put him on the streets and made him homeless, in a year, he'd be a millionaire again, right? And it was because of his mindset. And it's the same reason why if someone wins the lottery, in 5 years, they're broke again, right? Because of the mindset. And at first, I really was like, years ago, I was like, mindset, push through it, hustle through it, you're cool, right? But really, the mindset is everything. And you energetically, so we're going to touch a little spiritual woo here.
Just so you know, like I'm totally on this wavelength. So this is right up my alley. This is like what I obsess over too. So we're in good company. I like this.
Okay, cool. So this is it. Your subconscious is designed to keep you comfortable. Your subconscious believes that the past, present, and future is all still currently happening, right? And so your subconscious will do whatever it can to keep you comfortable and safe. And that is, hundreds of years of evolution of like keeping you safe from tigers eating you and things like that. But sometimes your subconscious gets a little bit, they're like, oh, no, you're not safe making money, or there's subconscious beliefs that only bad people make money, right? Only wealthy people are all assholes or things like that. Whatever your subconscious beliefs are, that will trigger in the background. And no matter how much you push, you will always stay at that level of where your subconscious is comfortable, unless you do that healing work, unless you do that inner work to say, okay, what do I need to fix? What are these subconscious beliefs that I have that are keeping me where I am, right? So if we're talking about the girl that was going to publish a book that freaked out, her subconscious belief was that she couldn't be visible, that it was scary to be visible, right?
Yes.
And so everybody, like I said, so that's why it's different for everyone, but it is that working with your subconscious and saying, what is that? And, there's so many different techniques that people can use to tap into their subconscious. Yep. I have my clients do spirit journaling. There's EFT, EDMR therapies, a lot of different neuro things, and something will work for
each person,
right? Yes. And what works for me may not work for you, right? Yes. And so that's actually why, like, people are like, oh, what's your packages and things like that. I'm like, I don't sell a package. You book one call with me. Yep. If we mesh, then we'll talk that later, right? Yep. Because I'm not right for everybody, and that's okay to realize that as well. But that, I think, is the subconscious beliefs. Like my dad's friend, he grew up subconsciously. He had that thing where he had that wealth mindset. He knew what he needed to do to get back there. And he was not comfortable being down here. So he would always be back up there. Right. And you will always reset to that reset point until you change your reset point.
This is amazing. So fun. Time flies when you're having fun. Where can people learn more about you?
Well, I have like 800 websites, but no. Like we talked about, I don't have niches. My best website is staceemagee.com. It's just my name.com. Really easy. Getting ready to revamp it, but you can connect with me there. I'm on social media. I'm a little bit addicted to TikTok right now.
Yay! Love this.
Right? So you can find me on TikTok. Spirit Fluent is one of the ones that's more active right now.
Yes.
But I have, Stacee at Stacee Magee for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All that. It's really easy to find. And then my businesses are the same at Boingo Baby and at Spirit Fluent. So you can find me on any platforms on those names because I like consistency.
I do the same thing and it's great branding. I love it. Well, Stacee, thank you so much for joining me. This has been awesome. And we will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye for now.